He Lost Empire Beneath America. Part 1. The City That Shouldn't Exist. The storm came out of nowhere. Dr. Jonathan Hale had been digging along the banks of the Mississippi River for 3 months, mapping soil layers older than recorded history. The dig was quiet. Too quiet for a man who had once chased buried temples in Egypt and the deserts of Sudan. Cahokia, Illinois, didn't sound exotic, just an endless flatland with whispers of forgotten mounds. That evening, as thunder rolled over the plains, Hale's students had packed up early. Only he remained, kneeling in a pit barely 4 feet deep. His flashlight beam caught something smooth under the mud. He brushed carefully, then froze. It wasn't stone. It was polished glass, translucent, bluish, perfectly curved. Beneath it, faint symbols shimmered under the rainwater, glowing in brief lightning flashes. "This can't be," he whispered. He scraped more mud away, revealing a circular lens, about 2 feet across, embedded perfectly into the ground, as if part of a greater structure. Beneath it, through the translucent surface, he saw movement, a faint ripple, a shadow. When he leaned closer, the ground trembled, just once, and then everything went black. 2. The Forgotten Civilization. When Hale woke, it was morning. The rain had washed away most of the mud. Around him, the site was silent, the mounds stretching out like sleeping giants. He felt dizzy. The lens was gone. Not broken, gone. The pit was filled, smooth as untouched soil. He blinked, trying to understand. Had he imagined it? He checked his phone. It was dead. His watch had stopped at 3:03 a.m. By the time his team returned, the site looked ordinary. No trace of glass, no signs of digging. But Hale knew what he'd seen. That night, in his tent, he opened his laptop and started typing the phrase that had haunted him since grad school. The Mound Builders and the Lost Empire of the Mississippi. According to mainstream archaeology, the so-called Mound Builders were a network of ancient peoples who lived across the Midwest long before Europeans arrived. They built earthen pyramids, some larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza by volume, and yet somehow had left behind no written language, no metal tools, no traceable lineage. But what if that wasn't the whole story? Hale had always wondered how a pre-Columbian culture could design such precise astronomical alignments, how they could predict solar eclipses, map star paths, and construct with geometric perfection without advanced technology. The Cahokia Mounds, at their peak in 1100 CE, held nearly 40,000 people, more than medieval London. But by 1350, the entire city had vanished. No war, no epidemic, just disappearance. Tonight, Hale felt certain he had touched the reason why. 3. The Journal of Colonel Davenport. 2 days later, Hale received an unexpected package at his motel. No sender, just a battered leather envelope with a wax seal marked U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, 1883. Inside was a single item, a yellowed field journal, its first page labeled Property of Colonel Nathaniel Davenport, Mississippi Survey Expedition, 1883. The entries were meticulous. Davenport described supervising river channel construction near St. Louis when workers unearthed a vast stone chamber, unlike any in American soil. He wrote, The chamber walls bear inscriptions, serpentine lines, winged figures, symbols akin to Babylonian but of unknown origin. At its center lies a metallic sphere, humming faintly, untouched by time. Later entries turned frantic. Men falling ill, dreams of light and drowning. The chamber sealed again under orders, officially destroyed in the flood diversion. We were told to forget. The final note, dated August 29, 1883, simply read, "It watches through the glass." Hale's pulse quickened. Glass, the same material he'd seen under the soil, the same riverbank. Was it possible that Davenport's expedition had found the same structure, only for history to bury it again? He cross-referenced coordinates from the journal with his excavation map. They matched within a half-mile. The next morning, he packed his gear and drove out to the old river levee alone. 4. The Chamber. The Mississippi glistened under a red sunset as Hale stood at the dig site, wind whipping dust into his face. He found the same depression where the mound sloped toward the river's edge, exactly where Davenport's team would have worked. He began to dig. Hours passed. The soil grew darker, then damp, then strangely metallic smelling. Then his shovel hit something hard. He kneeled, brushed the surface, smooth, cold stone. Not native limestone. When he cleared a larger patch, geometric carvings appeared, spirals, jagged lines, perfectly symmetrical. In the center, a circular recess glimmered faintly blue under the fading light. He touched it, and the ground pulsed. For a heartbeat, the world seemed to shift. The air turned heavy, as if charged with static. The carvings lit up, lines of light flowing outward like veins. Then the earth collapsed beneath him. He fell maybe 10 feet before landing on a stone floor. When his eyes adjusted, his breath caught. He was standing in a vaulted chamber, its ceiling covered with mural-like carvings, strange half-human, half-bird figures, enormous stars. What looked like a map of the night sky, but wrong. The constellations didn't match any modern alignment. In the center of the chamber stood a metallic sphere, just as Davenport described, 3 feet across, levitating inches above a carved pedestal. Its surface rippled, reflecting light like water. He reached for his camera. The sphere flickered, once, twice, and then projected a burst of light onto the ceiling. Symbols moved, stars shifted. A voice, faint and echoing, whispered in a language he didn't know. And then silence. When he looked down again, the sphere was gone. So was the entrance. 5. The Map of the Forgotten Sky. For 2 days Hale was trapped underground. He rationed his energy bars, saved his flashlight battery, and spent hours staring at the ceiling murals. He realized something. The map wasn't just art. It was astronomical data. Using his notebook, he traced patterns and compared them to known constellations. Except the stars didn't match any visible sky from Earth. But they matched perfectly if the Earth's axis were tilted 7 degrees more than today. That configuration matched only one epoch in known history, around 10,500 BCE, the same era associated with the end of the last ice age and with mysterious global ruins like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey and the Sphinx's erosion in Egypt. Hale's mind raced. Could the builders of Cahokia, once thought to be simple mound makers, have inherited knowledge from a civilization that predated recorded history entirely? And if so, what had the sphere shown him? His thoughts blurred from exhaustion until he passed out. When he woke, sunlight was streaming through a hole in the ceiling. Rescue teams were shouting his name. He was safe, or so he thought. 6. The missing footage. Back at the university, Hale became a media sensation, professor trapped beneath ancient site. He gave interviews, showed sketches of the murals, but left out the sphere. When he checked his camera's memory card, every photo from that night was corrupted, except one. A single frame showing a blur of blue light and faint outline of a symbol shaped like an eye surrounded by wings. Weeks later,
2 men from the Smithsonian visited him. They introduced themselves as archaeological archivists, but asked strangely pointed questions. Had he found metallic artifacts? Any electromagnetic interference? When Hale said no, they smiled politely and left. The next day, the university shut down his research grant, citing funding reallocation. That night, Hale received another anonymous envelope. Inside was a photo, grainy, black and white, showing the same winged eye symbol carved into a mound near St. Louis, dated 1892, marked Confidential, Davenport Archive. And beneath it, a single line. You were never the first to see it. You're only the first to survive. 7. The code in the soil. Haunted and determined, Hale returned to the site at night. This time, he used ground-penetrating radar from his own funds. The scans revealed a pattern of buried chambers arranged like a constellation, Orion's belt, but inverted. Each mound aligned with a star, 3 in a row, 1 slightly offset, just like the pyramids of Giza. Coincidence? Maybe not. Native oral traditions had long spoken of star people, beings who came from the sky and taught their ancestors how to shape the land, plant crops, and listen to the stones. Archaeologists dismissed it as myth. But what if the star people weren't extraterrestrial, but survivors of a lost civilization, humans who escaped a cataclysm and rebuilt knowledge in fragments across continents? The idea bordered on madness, but Hale couldn't ignore the facts. Identical mound geometry in America, megalithic architecture in South America, stone-cutting techniques in Egypt and Turkey, all sharing mathematical constants. He wasn't chasing fantasy. He was chasing the memory of Earth itself. 8. The warning. A month later, Hale received one final message, an email from an untraceable address, no subject line, just an attached video file. He hesitated, then clicked. The video showed drone footage of a site somewhere in Arizona, massive stone platforms being uncovered under the sand. The same symbols appeared, spirals, the winged eye, the serpent. A timestamp in the corner read, October 21, 2024. Then the screen flickered, and a woman's voice said, Dr. Hale, you've opened something you don't understand. The chambers were never meant to be disturbed. What sleeps beneath them is not dead, only waiting. The video cut to black. He sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the wind howled against the windows, carrying the scent of rain, the same storm smell as that night at Cahokia. He opened his notebook and wrote a single line. History isn't lost. It's buried on purpose. And for the first time in his career, Jonathan Hale was afraid to dig again. Part 2. The Serpent Map. 1. The Hidden Grid. The night air was thick with the scent of sage and dust as Dr. Jonathan Hale drove along the cracked asphalt of Route 66. He couldn't shake the image of the winged eye symbol, etched in stone and flashing on his corrupted camera. Something about it, its symmetry, its simplicity, made his stomach tighten. It was a warning and a map at the same time. Hale had spent weeks studying the GPR scans from Cahokia. The mounds weren't randomly placed. They formed a network, a constellation of hidden chambers across the Mississippi Valley, stretching north into Illinois and south toward the Gulf. He opened the journal left by Colonel Davenport. On a folded page, scrawled in faded ink, were symbols linking Cahokia to other mound sites, including Etowah in Georgia and Spiro in Oklahoma. Davenport had drawn lines connecting the mounds. It was the Serpent Map. Hale's heart raced. This wasn't just a lost city. It was an entire underground empire, engineered with precision, stretching across thousands of miles. 2. The Legend of the Star People. To understand the map, Hale needed history, and not just the textbooks taught in American schools. He called on Dr. Lila Whitman, a linguist specializing in Native American oral traditions. "Jonathan," she said over the phone, "these aren't fairy tales. Many tribes, Cherokee, Creek, and Hopi, talk about beings who came from the sky. They taught people mathematics, architecture, and astronomy. Some even say the mounds were anchors for something greater, something they called the Great Breath." Hale scribbled notes furiously. Could these legends contain encoded instructions? Could the Star People have been real and left a guide for future generations? 3. Journey to Spiro. Spiro Mounds in Oklahoma were Hale's next stop. Satellite imagery revealed an unusual circular formation under the soil. Unlike the flat top of Cahokia, Spiro's main mound had what appeared to be a spiral staircase carved into the earth, perfectly preserved beneath centuries of sediment. Local historians were wary of outsiders, but Hale convinced a few to accompany him at night. They began to excavate. Hours in, Hale noticed something extraordinary. The soil itself seemed magnetic, pulling his compass needle in erratic spins. He dug further, revealing a metallic tablet, the size of a small car tire, covered with inscriptions identical to the Cahokia winged eye. He touched the surface. The tablet vibrated in his palm. Symbols flickered like neon, forming what appeared to be a 3D map of North America, with points glowing where other mounds were located. It was an ancient communication network, possibly a survival tool left by the lost civilization. 4. The warning symbols. On the tablet, certain points pulsed red. Hale cross-referenced them with Davenport's journal and local legends. One by one, the red points corresponded to areas of documented disappearances or unexplained phenomena. The Waco region, where stories of vanished villages persisted. Cahokia, with its vanished city. The Great Lakes, where early explorers reported strange lights over water. The desert Southwest, where Hopi legends spoke of the sleeping ones beneath the mesas. "This isn't just a map," Leela said when Hale showed her the tablet. "It's a warning system. Whoever built this wanted future generations to know where not to go." Hale shivered. If the Star People had intended this as a guide, were the glowing points still dangerous? 5. Government shadows. Weeks later, Hale received an anonymous email.
The subject line read, "We know what you found." It contained 3 photos: Hale's recent work at Spiro, the winged eye tablet, and a satellite view of Cahokia's mounds with unusual heat signatures. The text warned him to stop digging or face consequences. Hale ignored it, but he noticed that on his next trip, unmarked black SUVs followed him. Men with mirrored sunglasses appeared at motel parking lots, sometimes watching for hours before disappearing. He realized the U.S. government knew of Davenport's discoveries and of the hidden chambers. They weren't interested in archaeology. They wanted control. 6. The astronomical key. Back at his lab, Hale studied the tablet. Its map suggested a celestial alignment, mirroring constellations, but slightly altered. Leela's research confirmed it. The map was time-sensitive. The mound's network wasn't just a warning, it activated at certain astronomical epochs. Hale calculated the next alignment, October 30th, 2024, just a week away. "This isn't coincidence," Hale muttered. "Something is going to happen when the stars line up." 7. Unearthing the first chamber. Hale and a small team returned to Cahokia at night. Using Davenport's old notes and the tablet's guidance, they excavated a mound that had long been considered empty. Hours into digging, the ground shifted. The mound revealed a hidden entrance, a staircase descending into darkness. Hale lit his torch. The walls were etched with intricate carvings, serpents, birds, human figures intertwined with stars. A sense of ancient intelligence hung heavy in the air. At the bottom, they found a room large enough to hold hundreds of people. Its centerpiece, a massive metallic device, glowing faintly blue, reminiscent of the sphere from Hale's first encounter. Leela stepped forward. "Jonathan, I think this is the core of the network," she whispered. Hale examined the walls. Tiny inscriptions lined the room in a ciphered language, warning intruders. "Do not awaken the watchers. The lost will rise. The earth remembers." 8. The First Awakening. Hale hesitated. He didn't understand the mechanism, yet the pulse of the device seemed to call him closer. When he brushed a glyph with his fingers, the room trembled. A beam of light shot upward, hitting the ceiling. Shadows moved like living figures, humans with wings, serpents coiling, stars spinning above. The air thickened, the temperature dropped, and Hale realized the device was alive or powered by something beyond human comprehension. Suddenly, a whisper echoed. "You are the chosen, or the fool. Choose carefully." Hale stumbled backward. The floor vibrated beneath him. The light flickered, and in that brief moment he glimpsed the world outside transforming, rivers glowing, forests shifting, and the stars above aligning unnaturally. He fell to his knees. If what he had awakened could reshape the world, or had been waiting for the stars to align, then the entire history he knew about America, about humanity itself, might be a lie. The message. When Hale and Leela finally retreated, the mound sealed itself naturally, as if time had swallowed their work. But Hale's notebook had a new entry, written in ink he did not recognize. "Seek the 4 keys. Only then will the serpents sleep. The watchers never forget." Hale knew they had unlocked something, and the serpent map was only the beginning. He also knew one terrifying truth. They were no longer alone in the search. Unmarked helicopters now hovered at night. Satellite anomalies mirrored the pulses from the chambers. And somewhere, deep underground, the network of mounds waited, silent yet aware. The Star People's message was clear. The past wasn't gone. It was waiting for the future to understand or to destroy.
Part 3. The 4 Keys. 1. A letter from the past.
Back in his cramped apartment in St. Louis, Jonathan Hale stared at the new entry in his notebook. Seek the 4 keys. Only then will the serpents sleep. The watchers never forget. He had no idea what it meant. 4 keys. Keys to what? And who or what were the watchers? The next morning, an unmarked envelope slid under his door. Inside, a fragment of papyrus, brittle and brown, written in a strange, angular script. Leela Whitman translated what she could. The first key lies beneath the river that remembers the stars. Hale's pulse quickened. The river that remembers the stars could only be the Mississippi, the same river that had led him to the Cahokia sphere. The Star People's network was far larger than he imagined. 2. The first key, beneath the Mississippi. Hale chartered a small boat and navigated to a section of the river near Cahokia, where Davenport had documented strange magnetic anomalies. Using ground-penetrating sonar and a team of divers, they located a submerged chamber, its entrance hidden by centuries of silt. Inside, the walls were carved with serpentine figures intertwining with stars. At the chamber's center rested the first key, a crystalline shard shaped like a serpent's fang, glowing faintly with an internal light. Hale reached for it. The instant his fingers touched the shard, the water vibrated. Symbols on the walls lit up, forming a holographic projection of the continental network of mounds, each connected by glowing lines like synapses in a brain. Leela gasped, "It's the serpent map, activated by the key." Hale felt a strange resonance in his chest. The shard pulsed as though alive, embedding knowledge directly into his mind. He saw visions, ancient cities, civilizations rising and falling, technologies lost to time, and hints of a global network connecting the Americas, Europe, and Asia. 3. The Etowah Enigma. The papyrus had hinted at the second key's location, where the sun sleeps behind stone giants. Hale interpreted this as Etowah Mounds in Georgia, renowned for massive platform mounds aligned with celestial events. Hale and Leela arrived at night. The moonlight illuminated the top of the largest mound, revealing a faint, star-shaped engraving only visible under moonlight. As they excavated, they discovered a hidden staircase leading deep underground. The chamber contained the second key, a metallic disc etched with spirals and the winged eye symbol. Upon touching it, the air shimmered. They realized the disc contained astronomical data, including positions of stars over the last 20,000 years. Hale murmured, "These keys, they're not just artifacts, they're a mechanism, a code to access something ancient." 4. The Desert Guardian. The papyrus described the third key cryptically, "in the desert where the wind hums." Hale guessed the Arizona mesas, home to Hopi legends of the Star People. Flying over the desert, Hale noticed a triangular mesa, its peak perfectly aligned with Orion's belt during the winter solstice. Digging along a hidden fissure revealed a chamber sealed with stone. Inside lay a cube-shaped crystal, warm to the touch, etched with unknown symbols. As Hale lifted it, a wave of energy pulsed outward, temporarily disrupting their electronics. The cube seemed to recognize the other keys, resonating with the shard from the Mississippi and the disc from Etowah. Leela whispered, "It's forming a network. Each key activates the next. The serpent map is more than a map. It's a portal." 5. The Forgotten North. The final clue read, "where ice touches the land that sleeps underwater." Hale deduced it was somewhere in the Great Lakes region, likely near glacial-era mounds submerged by post-glacial lakes. After weeks of searching, Hale and Leela discovered a submerged mound beneath Lake Michigan, perfectly preserved. Using scuba gear, they navigated an underwater tunnel leading to a chamber filled with carvings of serpents coiling around stars. The fourth key was a sphere, slightly larger than a basketball, containing a miniature star field inside. As Hale lifted it, the water around them glowed, revealing a network of glowing lines connecting the four keys, forming a giant serpent stretching across North America. Hale realized with a chill, the Star People's network isn't just symbolic, it's real, and now we've activated it. 6. The Awakening. As Hale held the final key, the other three began to glow simultaneously. Holographic projections erupted from each artifact, connecting to form a massive constellation hovering over the continent. The serpent map had awakened. Across the U.S., ground-penetrating sensors picked up pulses beneath other mound sites, some previously thought empty. The Watchers, the Guardians Davenport had warned about, were now aware. The four keys formed a frequency resonance that stirred the buried chambers. Shadows moved. Ancient carvings of winged figures and serpents seemed to shift. Leela gasped, "Jonathan, something is alive down there." And she was right. The air vibrated with energy, as if the lost civilization itself was waking up. 8. A warning from the past. The holographic projection displayed a new message written in the language of the Star People, but translated in Hale's mind. Those who awaken the network must bear the knowledge. The keys are not toys. They maintain balance. Remove them, and the serpents rise. Disturb the order, and the Watchers will judge. Hale felt a sudden weight in his chest, a mixture of awe and terror. The network wasn't simply a treasure or a map. It was a mechanism of planetary preservation, perhaps even control. And someone or something was watching. 8. The chase begins. No sooner had Hale and Leela surfaced than black SUVs appeared along the shoreline. Men with tactical gear and night vision goggles approached, weapons ready. "Mr. Hale, step away from the artifacts," one ordered, voice cold and mechanical. Hale realized the government, or a secret faction, knew the keys were activated. The Watchers were not myth, they were very real. With no time to think, Hale and Leela sprinted to their boat. Bullets ricocheted off stone and water. Hale clutched the keys. "We can't let them take these. They don't understand what they are." As the boat roared down the darkened river, Hale looked back at the glowing pulses from the submerged chamber. Somewhere deep in the earth, the Star People's network was alive, and it was responding. He didn't know what would happen next, but one thing was certain. History itself was awake, and they had just become part of it.
"It's a blueprint for civilization," Hale whispered. "Or a warning." Leela nodded. "Every culture with advanced megalithic architecture. They weren't separate. They were connected through knowledge we've forgotten." 2. The purpose revealed. The key's energy, combined with the Watcher's awakening, created a projection of the Star People's message, a panoramic vision of the Earth as it existed 12,000 years ago. The Watchers explained in Hale's mind, "We seeded knowledge. We guided. We preserved. When catastrophe comes, the network awakens to restore balance. The keys are instruments of comprehension. Misuse brings chaos." Hale understood that the Star People weren't extraterrestrial. They were humans who survived an earlier cataclysm, passing down technology and knowledge across generations in coded forms, mounds, stones, and celestial alignments. The lost civilizations weren't myths, they were teachers of survival. 3. The global threat.
But the vision also revealed a chilling warning. Certain nodes of the network were corrupted, tampered with by humans seeking power. These nodes corresponded to modern conflicts, natural disasters, and unexplained phenomena. Hale realized that the Watcher's judgment wasn't metaphorical, it was active. Interference with the keys or network could trigger catastrophic events, earthquakes, magnetic disruptions, or even shifts in the planet's rotational axis. Leela said, "If the keys fall into the wrong hands, the Star People's warning becomes a weapon." Hale nodded grimly. Humanity's understanding or misunderstanding of the past could shape the future. 4. The Council of Watchers. The Watchers convened in Hale's mind, projecting a cosmic tribunal. Winged humanoids, serpentine giants, and hybrid forms spiraled around the glowing serpent map, assessing him and Leela. "We have activated the network. You have survived judgment, but knowledge carries responsibility. Teach wisely, protect the keys, and ensure humanity honors the balance." Hale realized their test was complete but ongoing. The Watchers weren't just guardians, they were mentors. Their presence ensured that no one could misuse the network without consequences. 5. The Hidden Archive. Guided by visions from the keys, Hale and Leela uncovered a hidden archive beneath Cahokia, a chamber containing artifacts, manuscripts, and tools from the Star People. Among them, mathematical devices far more precise than any known pre-Columbian instruments, maps of celestial and terrestrial phenomena spanning centuries, textiles and carvings depicting migrations of ancient civilizations across continents, warning glyphs about the consequences of misuse. The archive contained enough information to rewrite history, if humanity was ready to comprehend it. 6. Returning the keys. Hale knew the network could never be fully exposed to the public without risk. He and Leela began returning the keys to their hidden pedestals, ensuring the Watcher's guidance remained intact. Each placement required precision, aligning the keys with stars, mounds, and celestial phenomena. The Watchers assisted subtly, guiding hands and revealing hidden symbols. "We are preserving memory, not for fame, not for wealth, but for survival." Hale nodded. The weight of history rested on their shoulders. 7. Humanity's Choice. As the final key settled into its pedestal, the Watchers projected a vision, a choice for humanity. One path, knowledge shared recklessly, power abused, and the network destabilized, leading to catastrophe. Another path, knowledge preserved, the keys protected, civilizations learning from the Star People, ensuring survival and advancement. Hale understood the lesson. History wasn't just past events, it was a living framework encoded to guide or punish. The Star People had left a test, and humanity's response would determine its fate. 8. A Silent Promise. The Watchers receded, leaving Hale and Leela in the quiet of Cahokia. The mounds stood like sentinels, ancient and eternal. The serpent map glowed faintly, dormant but aware. "We've passed the first test," Hale said softly. Leela smiled, exhausted but resolute. "And now we protect it, for the past and for the future." As dawn broke over the Mississippi, Hale understood that the world had changed irrevocably. History was no longer a record of the dead. It was a living memory, alive beneath the soil, among the stars, and within the Watchers who still waited silently. 9. Epilogue. The Hidden Legacy. Hale returned to his university, resuming lectures under the guise of ordinary archaeology. But every night he studied the journals, artifacts, and keys, ensuring the network remained protected. Occasionally he received visions, subtle nudges from the watchers, reminders of balance and guidance. The Star People's legacy endured not in textbooks or museums, but hidden in plain sight, waiting for humanity to remember, respect, and learn. And somewhere, beneath the rivers, mounds, and deserts of America, the watchers remained vigilant, because history isn't lost, it's alive, and it never forgets. Part 6. The Awakening Complete. 1. A Global Resonance. Months had passed since Hale and Leela returned the keys to their pedestals at Cahokia, Etowah, Arizona, and the Great Lakes, yet the network's pulse remained, subtle, almost imperceptible, resonating across continents. Late one night, Hale received an encrypted message via an untraceable server. The message contained satellite data, faint energy surges emanating from Göbekli Tepe, Stonehenge, Giza, and Pumapunku. The Watchers network was awakening globally. Hale realized that the North American network was just a fragment. The Star People had designed a planetary web, a hidden framework of knowledge and protection spanning millennia and civilizations. Leela whispered, "They've been waiting for us to understand, not to exploit." The stakes were now global.
Humanity's awareness, or ignorance, would shape the fate of the entire planet. 2. The ancient technology. Using the 4 keys in tandem, Hale and Leela projected a holographic map of the world, revealing nodes at ancient megalithic sites. Lines of energy connected each node in a vast lattice. The Watchers communicated directly this time, bypassing language. The network is complete. Knowledge may be shared. Power may be wielded. But wisdom must guide hands, and balance must guide hearts. Hale studied the projections. Each node represented technologies lost to history. Precision engineering, astronomical alignment, energy systems beyond modern understanding. The keys were more than artifacts. They were tools to unlock civilization's forgotten potential. 3. The test of humanity. The Watchers revealed the final test. The network would respond not just to artifacts, but to the intent of humanity itself. Greed, destruction, or arrogance would destabilize the global system. Compassion, understanding, and preservation would stabilize it. "This is why the keys were hidden," Leela said. "They weren't meant for conquest. They were meant to teach us responsibility." Hale understood. Every civilization that had built megalithic structures across continents was unknowingly participating in a planetary curriculum, preparing humanity for a choice: survival or self-destruction. 4. Revelation in South America. Hale and Leela traveled to Bolivia, to Pumapunku, one of the most precise and mysterious stone sites on Earth. Using the North American keys as a reference, they discovered hidden alignments beneath the stones, channels for light and energy that connected to other nodes across the globe. When Hale placed the keys in the corresponding pedestals at Pumapunku, the site glowed with energy, illuminating carvings of serpents, winged beings, and stars. Leela gasped, "It's alive everywhere." The global network activated fully. Holographic projections of Earth's past civilizations overlapped with current landscapes. Humanity's lost history, its migrations, technological advances, and spiritual insights appeared as a unified story. The Watchers' final message. The Watchers appeared over Pumapunku as colossal, shimmering forms. Their voices, telepathic, resonant, filled Hale and Leela's minds. "You have proven understanding. You have activated the network with wisdom, not ambition. The keys now belong to humanity, but only if the balance is maintained. Misuse will awaken judgment." Hale understood the implication.
The Star People had built a system to test every generation, ensuring that knowledge would not be exploited, but preserved responsibly. Leela said softly, "We are the stewards now." Hale nodded, feeling the weight of millennia pressing upon them. They were the first to awaken the global network fully and responsibly. 6. The vision of the future. With the global network active, Hale experienced visions of possible futures. Cities built with precision and harmony, aligned with celestial knowledge. Clean energy systems derived from ancient techniques. Societies guided by understanding of planetary and human cycles. Global disasters averted through knowledge of the Watcher's lessons. And yet, he also glimpsed dystopian possibilities, war, greed, and environmental collapse if humanity ignored the lessons of the Star People. The Watcher's purpose was clear. They preserved knowledge, tested intent, and guided civilization, but humanity had to choose its path. Return to America. Hale and Leela returned to Cahokia, leaving the keys secured. They documented their discoveries in hidden archives, accessible only to those deemed responsible. Hale wrote in his journal, "History is not what we read. History is what we carry, what we protect, and what we teach. The Star People's legacy is ours to guard." The Watchers watched silently, guardians of a legacy millions of years old, ensuring that no one could misuse the network. Hale felt peace for the first time in months. The keys had awakened, the Watchers were satisfied, and humanity now had the opportunity to learn. 8. The final revelation. In the final moments, Hale received a vision of the Star People themselves. Humans of an earlier age, advanced in science and consciousness, teaching civilizations across the globe. Their message was simple. Knowledge is power. Wisdom is responsibility. The world is alive. Protect it, or it will protect itself. Hale realized that the Watchers weren't just protectors, they were the embodiment of humanity's highest potential, the memory of those who came before. The network had awakened, humanity's future depended on understanding its lessons. And somewhere, beneath the earth and across continents, the Watchers waited, ready to guide, ready to judge, ready to preserve the legacy of the Star People. 9. Epilogue, a living history. Years later, Hale and Leela continued their work quietly. Universities, governments, and archaeologists remained unaware of the full scope of their discoveries. But beneath rivers, mounds, deserts, and mountains, the global network pulsed with energy, alive and vigilant. Hale knew one immutable truth. History is not simply written, it lives, encoded in the earth, the stars, and the Watchers who ensure that humanity remembers, respects, and survives. The Star People's legacy was complete, and the world had been given a second chance. Because history is not lost, it is alive, and it never forgets.